Hello, hello. Welcome back to Burn Builds and Designs. The project we are working on refinishing is this oak dresser. I am going to be using this for personal use when done, but the oak is a little bit not my style. So we're going to be transforming it into something new. First things first, we've got to take it all apart. So obviously, good best practices, take all the hardware, throw it in some Ziploc bags. It will save you some sanity down the road, and just take everything off and we'll keep you posted. Now we're sanding. Sanding feels like it takes forever every time I do a project. The top part I am going to be staining, so I went over it with 120, followed by 220. I took the top down all the way below the finish. That's not something you need to do for the bottom, but I am again staining the top and I am painting the bottom. So 120 grit to take it down to the unfinished section oak, get down to the raw wood, then 220 on top. 220 all around the bottom just to scuff it up and get it nice and prepared for color. Once I was done there, I am taping off the top because I will be dealing with that secondary, and then I am going to be putting color all over the bottom. I decided to opt for a matte finish blue. It is supposed to be a little bit more gray, but it ended up being more of a baby blue, but I ended up rocking it and rolling with it. I probably did about 3 coats in total, and then I was ready once it was done curing to move on to the top. So I had to give it again another sand. When my husband was looking at it after I cleaned it, he thought it could use a little bit better of a finish. So I went over it one more time, wiped it down real good clean, got all the dust off of it, let that sucker dry, and then I retaped the bottom just to protect it from the stain. In hindsight, I will say it's probably better off that you use plastic around those sections because the stain did tend to splatter quite a bit. I jumped while that was kind of just sitting and waiting and went over to the doors. I don't like to have to leave the paint sitting in my pans more than I need to. So these were already sanded and ready to go. So time to put about 2 to 3 coats on those, and then I can clean all of my supplies and move on to the stain. I decided to do an ebony. I just really like the darker look, and this ebony was a little bit less opaque than most of them. I got it from Home Depot. It's their basic one. I can throw the links in the comments below, but I like that it let some of the wood show through more than other stains, so I didn't have to worry about it looking like black paint, which is just something that I didn't really care for in some other brands of that stain. I did about 2 coats. I had to let it dry about 2 to 4 hours in between. Otherwise, it will just take off the previous coat and your second coat becomes null and void. After that, you let it sit. I think I let it cure for about 3 days just to be on the safe side. It also happened to be Friday, which naturally gave me plenty of time to wait until Monday to apply the clear. I used a paintbrush in this application. I will tell you, I ended up doing the 3rd coat of clear in a roller. So if I had to recommend, I would say to go for a roller, a sponge roller instead of a brush, because the brush tended to leave some imperfections and some trash behind in the clear coat that had to be fixed. Then comes the hard part of making sure you didn't lose any hardware and putting it all together. These handles, I will put the links in the comment below, were from Amazon. I just love the style. And the only hard part was just making sure that they got on there nice and level. So just keep checking it as you go. Here is the final product. Let me know in the comments what you think. This is absolutely my favorite refinishing job I have done thus far. And now I have to move on to the matching nightstands. See you in the next video.
Hi guys!
I owe you guys a huge update on this piece. I have meant to do the grand reveal already, but when I always talk about what's the worst that could happen, I got into a couple hiccups. So I was putting on my final coat of the clear on top, and unfortunately I used a brush I shouldn't have. I get it. You get what you pay for, and with brushes, this is something I will tell you, and pretty much every video I've looked at will tell you as well, don't skimp too much on brushes. Anywho, I was in a jam, I did what I had to do, and in this case it did not pay off. I got some blotchy areas and some bumps in the top coat. So no worries, I mean, it's fixable. The great news is it's fixable, but it is gonna require me to sand down the top coat again. And while doing that, I actually burned through the stain. So I have already spent another day touching up the stain and allowing that to finish drying completely. It has to have 6 hours before I can put on the final coat again. I've already done the final coat one more time. I am gonna sand it and do one final coat so that everything has at least 2 to 3 coat of coverage. And then I will still have to let this piece cure for about 3 full days before I feel comfortable bringing it in the house and putting items on it. That being said, this is not the most fume friendly project, so if you are gonna stain furniture, I will let you know. I will probably be leaving it out here maybe a week or so, because every time I come out to this fabulous garage, it still smells pretty much like chemicals. So to avoid giving us an unnecessary high in the bedroom, I'm probably gonna let it sit out here for at least a week to see if it can finish off gassing. But the grand reveal is coming. This piece is almost done. It is definitely a labor of love. So I will see you guys in the next video. I have more coming because I've got the nightstands next. Oh, happy Friday.